Here's Brody Brazil.
I'd start off by saying happy anniversary, but it's been quite the opposite of that. Precisely 1 month ago, on the evening of April 19th, the A's were part of that news breaking that they had agreed to purchase 49 acres of land on the old Wild Wild West casino site, west of I-15 and west of the Strip. And this was a binding agreement, dependent on the A's securing $500 million of public funding to help finance ballpark construction that would cost about $1.5 billion. So binding agreement mixed in with the fact that Joe Lombardo, the governor, was quoted as saying there's some support behind this, they can get it done. It all seemed like pretty much a deal had been struck. And all of this on a night where we found out that the A's were totally shifting their focus to Las Vegas, turning their backs on the city of Oakland. And the way it came out, the picture that was painted kind of felt like a wrap, like not actually as in things were done, but that would only be a formality in the coming days or weeks or month. But here we are a month later, and we're talking about a totally different site, the Tropicana Hotel site, a totally different public dollar figure from $500 million down to $395 million, and we really haven't even seen a bill yet. There's only, as I record this, 6 days left for bills to be introduced to the Nevada State Legislature. Their session ends on June 5th, but they have to see this bill within the next week, in fact, less than that, for it to even be brought up. And now Clark County's getting involved, and they're not really maybe wanting to participate in the public funding of this. But I digress on Las Vegas. All of this while in the meantime, in Oakland, the baseball team continues to struggle mightily. In fact, historically, they win a game basically once a week. And the Coliseum recently saw its lowest attendance figure since 1979. There was a game recently in Oakland that drew a little bit more than 2,000 fans. So let me just say, looking back at the month part of it, it's been a long month. It's been a difficult month. It's been a trying month. It's been a month of uncertainty and twists and turns. And if you're somebody who just loves Oakland baseball, yeah, I'm with you. It has been a tremendously difficult month. That being established, I'm here to look back, look forward, make some educated guesses on this situation. I'm not on the inside of legislature. I'm not on the inside of Clark County. I'm definitely not knowledgeable on what's going on behind A's closed doors lately. So these are all educated guesses. This is me taking the most I can gain and gather, putting together the pieces and trying to come up with predictions. I didn't want to call it that. Literally, not guesses, educated guesses in how certain things might play out. And in no particular order, let's begin with this. I think it's becoming obvious that the A's request for public funding with the state of Nevada and their legislative session, it will not be addressed in a regular legislative session. Now, these happen every other year, right? Odd years for the first, I don't want to say first, but almost first 120 days. These sessions happen, they try and get everything done, and if they can't, they call an emergency or a special session. And based on the way things are going, forget the A's request, which hasn't even officially been presented yet. There are already hundreds of other measures waiting for votes by legislature. So to think that this is going to be introduced, fast-tracked, and somehow taken care of by the end of the legislative session on June 5th, or even introduced by May 25th, I mean, that might happen. I'm not predicting that it won't be introduced in time by May 25th. That might happen. In fact, I'm surprised that hasn't already happened. I totally understand there are other things as part of the process and surveys and research that need to be done, some T's crossed and I's dotted, but it hasn't happened yet. So my prediction here, my educated guess, is that it will take an emergency or a special session, which is going to already happen for other reasons, to settle this A's public funding issue. And on that note, what it means for the entire situation and project and the request by the A's, public money now at stake is simply not going to be rushed by Clark County or the state of Nevada due to this deadline. And look, even from the Oakland side of this, it would have been nice to understand and know if public funding would take place by June 6th. Maybe we could get some kind of answers, some kind of resolution. Instead, I don't know when that special session is going to be or how many other things are already in the pipeline that need resolution before this. There is no more clear-cut answer of when we might have some answers for public funding and the rest of this process for a potential A's relocation. It really relies on two things: public funding and Major League Baseball's approval by the owners of 75% in a vote. But the public money part obviously needs to happen first. So again, the state, the county of Clark County, state of Nevada, Clark County, they're not going to rush this process. The A's might have had a little bit of leverage in that if it could be done quickly and they needed it to be done quickly and they could just make a quicker decision, but it doesn't seem like it's going to play out that way. On that note of public money, I don't think it's going to come from all one place. The state of Nevada has reportedly kind of already proclaimed that $200 million is where they want to live on this issue. And mind you, the state of Nevada is dealing with the A's, but they're also mindful of Major League Baseball watching this. And in the event that this A's thing doesn't work out, they don't want to be known as a place that won't help Major League Baseball come to town. They want to leave a good impression on baseball to say, hey, we're here to help. And in this case, it's not to the full $395 million, but it's $200 million. And we can make that work for you, which obviously leaves a pretty significant amount in the gap of 200 to 395, but they want to at least show some gratitude, the olive branch, whatever you will. They want to show that they're willing to meet Major League Baseball at a certain point. Now, Clark County seems reluctant to partake in more public funding. Now, they were largely part of the $750 million in the Raiders Allegiant Stadium deal, which relied on hotel room taxes, and they don't want to go down that route again. In fact, they seem reluctant to get involved at all from a public funding perspective. So that leaves the question of, if there really is going to be a gap of more than $100 million, let's call it realistically $200 million, who is going to help bridge that gap? I don't know the answer to that. We'll find out, I suppose. But to say that the public money is not going to come all from one place does seem kind of certain, at least if you're reading the tea leaves, that the state of Nevada, which the A's might have thought was going to foot the bill and take care of all this and fast track it and be done with it, it does not appear that it's going to come from all one place. Okay, let's move on to maybe easier to understand things. We'll get out of the financial department. This A's ballpark, it might face north, which I understand to a lot of like baseball connoisseurs. You're thinking, wait a second, don't all baseball fields in the majors face east? Like, aren't they normally oriented to the east for the whole reason that you don't want the batter's eye facing the sun? Yes, that's true. But that's rule 1.04, which isn't always followed, let's just say, in recent years. They've started to do the trend of moving the ballparks just a little bit more in a northerly direction. But let's be honest, none of them really face west, right? So to think that this ballpark will ever face west, which is, by the way, that way on your screen, it literally is north up. That's the Tropicana Hotel right there. So if it faces north at best, right, towards the MGM, top of the screen there, and if the Tropicana Hotel is rebranded as a new Bally's, and they've said they want to build 3 different towers out there, how are you exactly going to see the Strip if the plot of land, the 9 acres of land you're getting, is on that southeast corner there in red, and those high-rises are going to be out in the outfield? And maybe this isn't a big deal, the Strip view. Yeah, maybe I'm making too big a deal out of it. Okay, well, let's go back to really the bigger issue. How are you going to put a retractable roof stadium, which you will absolutely need, on a 9-acre site? It's been done in baseball on 12 acres, for example, in Milwaukee. The old Miller Field, built on 12 acres. It's tiny, though. They really crammed it in there, but it's a retractable roof, and it fits on 12 acres. But this is 9 acres. That's never been done before in baseball. I've heard some people, and I've seen some of you on this channel, in fact, suggesting that, well, maybe they'll do a partial retractable roof. Yeah, but how does air conditioning work with a partial retractable roof? I've seen others that say, well, maybe some of the structure of the roof will hang over something else. I guess, I mean, it's just going to have to be really creative. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's never been done before, and there might be a reason for that. So Ballpark not facing north, not seeing the strip. So I should say facing north, probably. Seeing the strip, I don't see how that's possible. We don't even have renderings, or I don't know that there's an architect on board yet. All of that remains to be seen, and I'm on the outside looking in. Again, there might be, there could be, but we haven't heard about that. Okay, another educated guess here. A's ticket prices, not all the time, but sometimes could be among the tops in Major League Baseball. Wait a second, the Oakland A's and the highest ticket prices in baseball? You mean like more than the Yankees or Red Sox or other teams when they're really popular? Well, you can look at the Raiders and what's going on with them right now. They remain, and they have remained, among the top ticket price in the NFL at $468 a game on average. Now, other teams with Tampa Bay Bucks, they were up there because of Tom Brady's final season. And on the secondary market, by the way, Raiders tickets go for $1,035 on average. So $468 if you buy them from the team, my goodness, per seat, per game, and $1,000 if you're buying them on the secondhand market. A lot of people traveling to Las Vegas to watch these games. We'll talk about the tourist effect in a different slide, but I think what you're looking at here with Major League Baseball is that on some nights for big teams and big matchups, like when the Dodgers play interleague, or even when the Angels are in town however many games a year, or the Yankees or the Red Sox, 30,000 seats at the Tropicana site, which, yeah, by the way, is significantly going to be the smallest park in Major League Baseball. It's the supply versus demand thing, right? Demand would be pretty high on some nights and supply would be extremely low. And so prices, to me, vary greatly. When the Pittsburgh Pirates come to town on a Tuesday night, what will supply and demand be like then? Or how about the Cincinnati Reds, or you name it, Miami Marlins? It doesn't matter. Some nights, some situations, and the honeymoon period, right? You're going to draw well. We'll talk about that in just a second. You're going to draw well for some periods, but prices will vary greatly. I do feel like on some nights, you'll have the easiest time walking up and getting a ticket, a couple years into this existence. Other nights, it's going to cost you as much as anything else in baseball. And that just kind of seems like the Vegas way. Okay, that honeymoon period I talked about, it will exist, right? Brand new team, new ballpark. People want to check it out. Heck, I've said that about Howard Terminal in Oakland. I said that despite A's figures and despite some animosity with the team and the fans, if you announce this, if you build it, if you secure a future home for 50 years or longer, you're going to have the honeymoon period where at Howard Terminal, the first 4 or 5 years would instantly sell out. Yeah, 35,000 seats just north of Jack London Square, instant sellout. And I think the same could be said about a new Las Vegas ballpark at Tropicana. Like, it would sell out because people are interested. It's new. It's shiny. But eventually, in Las Vegas, and if you're not a winning team, and if you have a similar performance record as the A's do in 2022 and 2023 and probably projected for 2024, I mean, now all of a sudden you're competing with a host of nightly acts in Las Vegas. The Blue Man Group, are they still out there? Cirque du Soleil, I've seen them, by the way. It's great. The Beatles show was awesome. Dinners, events, functions, concerts. There's always something rolling into town, not to mention the brand new MSG Sphere. There's also the MGM. The Mandalay Bay has whatever their events arena is. How about Allegiant Stadium? How about T-Mobile Arena? How about every casino that's got their own production going on? You are the A's, and now if you're not putting up a top product out there, how in the world are you competing for that tourist attention? And if they're really going to rely on 30% tourism to fill their seats, more on that in just a second, like, this is actually a big deal. So again, there's going to be prime opponents, like when the A's are playing those select teams, and those other teams help them draw. And this is really, has this ever been done before in pro sports, that a league and a team are saying, you know what, we're focusing our fan base to a certain degree and a large degree on tourism versus traditional season ticket holders. It really is going to be prime opponents and the rest. Basically, who the A's are playing will dictate ticket prices and attendance over time. And then, let's get into that. This whole season ticket versus tourist demand conflict. And the A's have said it's a 70-30 split, 70% locals, 30% tourists. How do you do this where you sell enough season tickets, but you also save enough for tourists? It seems like a counterintuitive thing, right? The traditional way it's always been done. Have as many regular guests as possible. Have them be season ticket holders. You are guaranteeing a certain amount of ticket sales. To say that 30% is going to be based on tourism, like that's a significant amount. Also to say that 70% of locals are going to want to come to the Strip 81 times a year, I don't know that is going to fly completely. Somebody put it on my channel in a recent comment, and I forget exactly who it was here in the moment. They said, with projections in Las Vegas, you never exactly know. You know what? Was it Ron Futrell of Channel 8 in Las Vegas, the CBS affiliate? Maybe he said this. These predictions, you never really know. Like the Raiders kind of started out with this projection too, 70-30. It's turned out to be 50-50. But that's football. This is baseball. This might be different. It might be 90-10, 95-5, 80-20, 50-50. I don't know. Who really knows? But what we do understand is that no pro team, I believe, in the history of like the four major sports has ever been reliant on tourist attendance. Like this is a brand new way to go about a fan base and keeping your stadium full and generating the revenue that you're going to need and you're promising to the state and to the county. Okay, I do think that if the A's decide to make this move and 2024 might be their last season at the Oakland Coliseum, if all goes according to their plan, and by the way, that's the last year that the A's are under lease at the Coliseum, I do think that there will be some backlash to the temporary home of Las Vegas Ballpark out in Summerlin. Now, it's been talked about, like, is it possible or not? But possible or not and desirable or not are two totally different things. The Major League Baseball Players Association, I don't believe, has weighed in on this yet. I mean, the A's have talked about it. The Aviators have talked about it. Both sides seem like they're okay with this, but you've got summer heat. You've got getaway day games that need to be played on Wednesdays and Sundays and maybe other days in between. For example, right now, the Aviators only play one home day game per week when they're home. They only play on Sunday's getaway day because they play 6-game series against opponents. And they do that in that league to minimize travel and also because of the heat. They want to play all night games, as many as possible, play the one-day game in July, in August, in September, and suffer through it and only do it once per week. But in Major League Baseball, it's 2 and 3 and 4-game series. You cannot avoid it. You're going to have to play day games in the middle of summer, outdoors, in Las Vegas on artificial turf. Oh yeah, by the way, the Aviators and their president have already said there's no way their real grass could exist. Why? Because the Aviators and A's would be sharing this stadium for seasons, for multiple seasons, and the natural grass just will not hold up. That's right. They're going to have baseball there. They're planning to basically every night for 150 straight nights. Aviators are home when the A's are gone. A's are home when the Aviators are gone. And I don't think that a lot of big leaguers are going to want to put up with this. Not to mention, okay, so you're playing night games. Who really wants to be out there for batting practice at 4 p.m. in 122 degrees? Because you got to take BP sometimes. What, are you just going to not do it when you're stopping over in Las Vegas? Or what if you're on the A's and this is your home field? I understand that they've got batting cages indoors and all that stuff, but you can't even get out on the field until it's time to play the game. A dome stadium, an air-conditioned stadium, of course, will take care of that. There's a reason that, just down the road, figuratively, in Phoenix, that the D-backs play in a enclosed, air-conditioned stadium. There's a full reason for that. Same thing in Texas with both the Rangers and the Astros. The stadium, by the way, will also need brand new lights. They're not high enough for Major League Baseball standards. It will also need additional clubhouses. There's only 2, one for each team. So now you're going to need 4 clubhouses. Where do you build those? can't really do it on the structure. I mean, this was a really good stadium built for a really specific purpose. Going to be difficult to add and modify that in any proper way. I mean, they've already said that maybe the clubhouses for somebody will be across the street from the stadium. And by the way, at best, this is a 2-year minimum for the 25 and 26 seasons. We're not talking about half a year, a month. Remember when the A's actually played for a couple weeks in Las Vegas at Cashman Field while, Mount Davis was being built? Now, that was early in the year, and that was fine, and it was understood. It was very, very temporary. We're talking about 2 full seasons minimum. Can anybody promise that it's only going to be 2? Probably not. I think there's going to be some kickback on that. I also think that the Aviators are not for long, if in fact the A's do move to Las Vegas. And I don't say this with any great feelings or joy. I hate the premise of this. I hate the thought of this. And I do understand that there are certain markets where a major league team and its minor league affiliates coexist. Like, for example, Las Vegas, the Golden Knights in the NHL, the Silver Knights of the American Hockey League, San Jose. The Sharks were there first, and then they brought the Barracuda out west. But therein lies an interesting thing. The major league team, the pro team, they're both pro, but the top tier team was always there first. In this case, the minor league team existed, and it did fine. It's doing fine, as far as I know. And then the major league team is going to maybe take some or all of its momentum away. Because even if you remove a few thousand per game from Aviators attendance, if it goes from 8 a night down to 3 or 4, I mean, that is going to be a significant hit to their business, to their operation, and their existence. And I'm not just talking about ticket sales. That is some of it, concessions and parking and merchandise and souvenirs, but how about interest and sponsorships? And maybe they could co-brand some things for a while. Maybe the A's will help. Even with the A's potentially being on the Strip and the Aviators being out in Summerlin, there's just some way that all of this could conflict with each other. And I don't want to rush the Aviators out of town, but you would think that where the A's could be and where the Aviators are tied to, that this might affect the Aviators in a very negative way. Or maybe not. Maybe Summerlin is all of a sudden the easier destination for locals, but I just don't have a good feeling for the Aviators if, in fact, the A's come in and do what they want to do in the 40th sized media market. Like, is there enough to go around for both the A's and Aviators? How about the A's revenue sharing deadline? I think this is the last one. January 15th, 2024, set up by Major League Baseball in the last collective bargaining agreement that came out right after the work stoppage. And it was instantly realized that that date would be significant for the Oakland A's, because if they do not have a binding agreement for a new venue in any city, Oakland or otherwise, they are kicked off of MLB's revenue sharing, which costs them anywhere from $30 to $50 million per year right now that they currently receive. And so this revenue sharing deadline, it's put on by Major League Baseball, but now really baseball has, I must say, nothing to do with it. It's all up to the Nevada State Legislature and Clark County, because if public funding doesn't happen, the ballpark can't be secured and the owners can't vote on relocation. So it can't all get squared away by January 15th without some government help, essentially. And again, this project, this site, I don't know that it has all of the entitlements or approvals, or if there's even a design that's been agreed upon. Is there an architect? Nobody really knows. It's happened so quickly. Again, we are a month removed from even finding out about all this stuff and it going public. And I really think in retrospect that the A's did not know about the Wild Wild West site much before the 19th of April. I don't think this was a deal that was done back in February and announced in April. I think it had just recently happened, like really just recently happened. It was that fresh, because then they moved on that fresh to the Tropicana Hotel site. So we're seeing a process that usually takes months and years, and it's only been 1 month, and maybe there's no surprise why, this deadline is approaching and it's jeopardized. I'm not going to say they won't meet it. I'm definitely saying that if that's important to the A's, it is very much in jeopardy. So look, I've made some educated guesses here. We'll find out in time how close I am or not. I just want to emphasize to everybody who's been following along on this channel that I really appreciate your support in all of this. I know even for people in Las Vegas, it's not been easy there. You were maybe looking forward to something, and now it's not happening. Certainly from the Oakland side, you didn't want any of this to get this far or to go this direction. But frustrating, fatiguing. We're a month in. We'd all like some answers. We'd all like to figure this out. I don't know if another month, honestly, by June 19th, I can't even promise that we'll know significantly more than we do here and now. Like the entire picture, I'm not sure it's all going to get resolved. So you watched here all the way to the end. I appreciate that. Thumbs up on this video. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would love to see you next time.